Still here, South Africa. This topic right here is profound because in our history books in most of the world, we're told that these great explorers discovered this point. We'll hear names like Magellan and Christopher Columbus, but we won't hear about none of these people. None of the great explorers had, were according to their books, were African. Now that's a problem, because what you mean to tell me is that none of those people, none of the Moors, none of those people were able to build boats and navigate. I went to Egypt and looked on the hieroglyphics on the wall, and there were boats with fishing hooks, and the hippopotamus, and the crocodiles, and the fish, and very, very detailed accounts of how they lived, engraved there in the tombs in Egypt. So that tells me that they had boats thousands of years ago. And knowing how those European explorers and just European entities would steal ideas and claim it as their own, it caused me to say, well, all of this, they were the first to do this, they were the first to do that, and so this is what we do, and we actually credit history to this. We credit history to saying that they were the first to do something or another, when in actuality, they might not have been. I remember going to Mount Kilimanjaro, and they said that, I forget the guy's name, I think he was German. And they say that now they were real careful and they were kind of smart with it, but they said he was the first European who summited Mount Kilimanjaro, but he had African porters. So why would he have African porters to escort him to the top of Mount Kilimanjaro if they were not skilled and qualified to be able to lead that expedition? They don't get the same credit, and I believe just up until recently, their names were mentioned alongside of his in some regard as far as climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. What I'm saying is that again, when I talk about I would be a fool to ignore what I'm seeing, I'd be a fool to ignore how history has omitted the contributions of those people of all types of ethnic descents that are not European. So when you look at it, you see it on a religious standpoint. You see, whenever you see something, you see these faces that are non-brown faces, and you begin to see all of this stuff happening. And so, many of the lessons that come with this. See, if you look behind me, look at it right there. When you look at this, you now begin to understand the importance of being able to tell a broader story and being able to tell a more accurate story. We won't know who many of the people, the architects and the engineers and the people who actually contribute to building these structures. But if we look at the pattern of history, you know that certainly they weren't building it themselves. Now, this does not take away from the Barbary slave trade that was happening in Northern Africa, where Europeans were chattel slavery and the brutal wars that they would have among themselves. The French and the British, and the Dutch and the British, and you can go on and on and on about the wars that were happening up there and the brutality that was happening in that part of the world. And so that's even, you just see that that's just how it was. And I mean, it was brutality happening on the continent of Africa among different ethnic groups. So it wasn't just exclusive to that, Europeans fighting one another. It was happening just everywhere, all over the world. Wars are just a part of the way the world is. And I know some people don't want to believe that, but you just see how people act now. You just see how people act now, just with neighbors, families, how they fight among themselves. So, I come to places like this, and it causes me to think to myself how history has been rewritten and skewed in order to appear to have a superior perspective. And these are in the history books. It goes unchallenged. You have teachers of African descent, teaching this to other children of African descent, and we go spend 12, 13, 14 years in the system, and we say we're history buffs and all this other kind of stuff, and then we're only getting the story through the eyes of those who want to tell us the curriculums, from those who want to tell us, and we don't challenge it. And remember, many in our culture have been trained not to challenge. We've been trained to just go with it or just gaslight ourselves and say, what does it matter? What's the big deal? And not even go and say, well, wait a minute. What about these people? And that's what I'm hoping is that our children will begin to start asking, what about these people? What about, so you mean to tell me there were no people who look like me who could build a boat, even though they were probably the ones building the boat? Because if you look throughout history, you see the people who were constructing and building, and typically the way the mindset of the capitalist investor is, they weren't going to get out there and build it themselves. And when things got difficult, then they would try to go get who to build. So, and not to say that none were built by them, but you just see the pattern over and over. When things got tough, let's go get some cheap labor, let's go put them out there, and we go back and collect the wealth and the spoils, and we go on about our business, and we give them peanuts, we send them to the outskirts, or we redline them and put them in the hood, and give them little subsidies, just enough for them to be able to survive. And we continue to reap the spoils. We manipulate the financial markets, we manipulate so many different things, and let's create an atmosphere where they feel hopeless and become disenfranchised. And then while they're in their emotions, we still continue to profit. We educate them the way we want them to be educated and shoot down anything that challenges what we're teaching, and that's pretty much how the system works. But again, there are more and more people waking up. There are more and more people saying this is not, there are more and more people homeschooling. There are more and more people saying, no, I'm going to teach my children. I'm going to give them experiences. And that's what we're doing here at Maximum Impact, creating these opportunities for you to get these experiences, for you to have your children, grandchildren, cousins, aunts, however, youth groups, have these experiences and see things for yourself. And that's who we're partnering with. And we can't wait for somebody else to do it for us. This is something that we have to do for ourselves. And the time is now for us to do it for ourselves, or else we'll miss a generation because we're sitting around, I don't know. So reach out to us, let's make this happen. You might have a group of young people that you want to bring over to different parts of Africa. We can make that happen for you. Just reach out to us, and what we'll do is see what type of situation works best for you. So MaximumImpactTravel.com. You can follow me at JCameronOfficial on IG. Of course, make sure you like, subscribe, share, and share this content, because again, if we're just going to believe those history books that they've been teaching us for all of these years, I'm telling you from firsthand knowledge. When I think about it, you can tell when people have been indoctrinated with a particular line of curriculum, because they come for you with that particular line of curriculum that is omitting a lot of different things. And so that's why I say, I had to tell a bunch of people from there, I said, look, let's see how far that passport gets you, and then you go travel around and see what's happening, and then let's come back and have a different kind of conversation. And again, that speaks to the unfortunate realities of imperialism, because now they're leaning upon that same educational system that has peddled that same type of story, or peddled those types of curriculums, and then the limitations to be able to travel around and see. That's by design, to make sure we don't know. And that's why it's important for videos like this to go, and for people to be able to see and learn and all of that on their own. And I even encourage intercontinental travel. If you have a passport that can get you anywhere on the continent of Africa, you'll begin to see the stories. If you have a passport like a UK passport or American passport, that gives you the ability to go see the world. But yet, and that's a resource, but so many people don't even have passports, won't even go get it, because psychologically they have been trained to make sure they stay on that American plantation. Don't go anywhere, don't travel anywhere, just work, get up, work, build a man cave, work, man cave, work, football game, basketball game, work, Christmas, spend all your money going to debt, work. Don't save, don't have any life insurance, don't have an estate plan, don't have a will, don't have anything, work, die. Then all the stuff gets snatched up, leave the family in a hardcore situation, got to now go to the GoFundMe to go pay for the funeral. And the reality is we had all access and resources right there in front of us, but what we lacked was the education. We lacked the education, the financial education, the systemic education to understand how it is and what it is we need to do. And that goes back to the history. That goes back to, again, how we've been taught that only certain people were explorers and great scientists and great this, that, and the other. So we don't even see that as a priority. For many of us, it's not even a part of our culture because that's not how we've been trained. But we're having different conversations. We're stepping outside of those curriculums. We're using those curriculums to our advantage to be able to move forward. But then we're also studying how they flow, how they operate, what they do, where they go, how they do it. Not because we're trying to be like them, but because if we want to be in this system, we need to know how those things operate, how those things flow, so that we can position ourselves and our families better for the coming generations. Like, subscribe, share. Maximum Impact with Jay Cameron. Be sure to check out our lives and participate and all that good stuff. So until next time, take care, be safe.
Open up your eyes and see all the fun and mystery. Take an African adventure with Darren and Destiny. From the mountains to the shore, so many things to explore. Take an African adventure with Darren and Destiny.
The Adventures of Darren and Destiny. And Darren and Destiny are twin brother and sister, and you go on their adventures throughout the African diaspora, meaning so African diaspora destinations, primarily focused in Africa, but we go to South America, we're going to go to the Caribbean. Their first book is going to take you to Ghana, and then we're going to go on a safari, and from there we're going to go to Ethiopia, and then we go to Salvador, Brazil. And what the goal is to be able to inspire curiosity in the continent of Africa, in our children from a very young age, and to really tell a more accurate story. Most of our children are exposed to negative images, late night infomercials about how bad things are, everybody's sick, everybody's poor, everyone's uneducated, but that's simply not true. So what Darren and Destiny and their family do is they go to different African destinations. They are learning about these different places. You're beginning to see positive images, but still telling the truth. I mean, that's the important thing, to tell the truth about some of the things that have occurred. But it's all done on our children's level so they begin to understand it. And it begins to pique their curiosity. They begin to learn more. And hopefully one day they will want to explore and visit the continent of Africa and its many countries. There's just so much that Darren and Destiny are able to do, and as they're doing it, it's like they begin to open the minds of a new generation, and they don't get bombarded and indoctrinated with negativity. They're actually able to see positivity and inspiring images and messages about the African diaspora, as well as those who are still indigenous to the continent of Africa, and they begin to learn more and just see things differently. So I'm excited about introducing the Adventures of Darren and Destiny.